And before this video begins, I would just like to thank my Asbantium level patron, Foul and Cortez. Thank you for supporting the channel.
Drop all of it, I know who you are.
Of course you don't.
Of course I do. No idea how you can be here, but there's only one person in the universe who hates me as much as you do.
15th of May, 2010. The 7th episode of Doctor Who's 5th series.
Oi, what are you doing here? This is my mystery lore video.
Oh, my bad, bro. You know me better if I'm included too. It's what the people want. No, but seriously, thanks for including me on the channel. This guy's the GOAT, people.
Oh, alright then. I guess you do know what you're doing. When it comes to Doctor Who's long history of monsters and villains, there are all sorts. Farting aliens, ants with human legs, bitchy trampolines, and bright green bubble wrap. All classic examples of the weird and wonderful Doctor Who villains. But despite all those goofy monsters, there are those darker, scarier, and more mysterious villains. Like today's menacing mastermind, the Dream Lord from Series 5's Amy's Choice. Despite only appearing once in the show, the Dream Lord has really left a mark and made a lasting impression. One of the most memorable villains of the 11th Doctor era. But who was the Dream Lord? What makes him so powerful? And could he come back? Naturally, for a mystery like this, I knew one man would be best for the job. So, without any further ado, take it away, DW Fan 91.
The episode begins in Ledworth, supposedly 5 years after the Doctor's last adventure with Amy and Rory. Amy is now pregnant, and Rory looks like this. Despite the spectacularly unremarkable nature of the situation the characters find themselves in, both the Doctor and the viewer can't quite shake the feeling that something's off about all this. And they'd be right, as the trio wake up in the TARDIS, with Rory being disappointed and the Doctor being very much the opposite. But what's this? They wake up again? Back in Ledworth, they are faced with the question, which reality is real and which one is fraud? Enter the Dream Lord.
As we see so well in the episode, the Dream Lord is a fascinatingly dark character, able to go toe-to-toe with the Doctor himself. He's deeply manipulative and seems to solely exist to torment the main characters with this incredible ability to blur the lines between reality and dream worlds. He's able to construct these incredible and terrifying nightmares, forcing them into the impossible choice of deciding which is real and which is fake. However, the Dream Lord is the most dangerous because of that psychological aspect. How he deepens the insecurities of the main characters, like Amy's emotional struggle between the Doctor and Rory, Rory's fear of being overshadowed or replaced, and the Doctor's guilt for his role in their lives. It's all psychological warfare from this malicious, frustratingly witty figure. He's terrifying because of just how cruel and unfeeling he is, constantly mocking the protagonists and treating the whole thing like a game, rather than the very real torture it is. He's very much like the opposite of the Doctor, with the lack of compassion and the callous sadism as he finds pleasure in exploiting all these anxieties and making these characters suffer. Because that's what he is. This dark side amplifying traits of the Doctor he tries to keep hidden and suppress. So, how does he come to exist, and what does it mean for both characters?
As the episode goes on, the main protagonists switch back and forth from reality to reality, with the final twist of the story being that both realities are dreams. After they escape for real this time, and wake up, the Doctor explains that the Dream Lord was him? What? Spoiler alert guys, 90% of the time when the question, who is blank, comes up, the answer is the Doctor. But how? Sci-fi gobbledygook time, my favourite. Psychic pollen from the Candle Meadows of Karasdon Slava whatever that means. Anyway, some of this psychic mind-meldy pollen dust got stuck in the time rotor, that thing in the middle of the TARDIS, and heated up in the middle of flight, getting everyone stuck in a dream state. The Dream Lord was all of the dark side of the Doctor given a voice, in the same way that the dark sides of both Rory and Amy were used to create the dream, but to an even greater extent due to the Doctor's status as a Time Lord. He's a special guy. Now, to you guys' credit, this does seem to be a rather hand-wavy explanation considering all of the big teasers throughout the episode, but at the very end of the episode, just after Amy and Rory have both left the room, the Doctor sees him yet again in his own reflection. Maybe there's more to this Dream Lord than it seems. Ooh. You guys like that?
The reason this works so well is because it gives us a deeper, more unapologetic look at our main protagonist, who is usually so heroic and a force for good. It's a window into the Doctor's very real dark side he has to hide away, one where he sees his friends as playthings and lesser beings he can toy with and manipulate. The Dream Lord is so scary because outside of his physical abilities, everything he does is something the Doctor is all too capable of doing as well. And we do later see that to an extent, with the darkness of the 11th Doctor coming to the forefront in episodes like The Girl Who Waited, when he lies to Rory and Amy and manipulates them. The Dream Lord is the physical manifestation of who the Doctor could be. It shows how this incredible intellect and alien nature can be twisted into dark, evil schemes and torture, like so many other Time Lords do so gleefully and unapologetically. He's a brilliant concept because of this mirroring and how realistic he is as a personality. Toby Jones is so effortless as the character and exudes a lot of Doctor-like energy, just in the opposite way a lot of people tend to consider to be Doctor-like. He's a sheer psychological behemoth of a threat, intensifying the drama so much and also exposing the Doctor's vulnerability. The interactions between the Doctor and the Dream Lord are so brilliant because of how they mirror one another, and they expose a lot of the Doctor's hidden cracks and create a sense of self-awareness and moral commentary. The Dream Lord isn't over the top. He's not one of those men in rubber suits we're so used to, and that's why he's so effective. He's a threat that feels so real, and he represents how the Doctor isn't always the safe and secure presence we think of him as. But the most interesting thing about the Dream Lord is that he's something we've seen before to an extent. Cast your minds back to 1986, during the ambitious yet badly received trial of a Time Lord. As the 6th Doctor faces his trial for his supposed crimes, we meet his prosecutor, the Valeyard. And as the story unfolds, we later discover that the Valeyard himself is the Doctor, a future regeneration between the 12th and final incarnation, but one that is deeply evil and malicious, an amalgamation of all the worst parts of the Doctor as a person and a character. Sound familiar? Indeed, despite the episode explaining that the Dream Lord is merely a psychic pollen fever dream of the Doctor's darker side, a lot of people speculate that he might possibly be the Valeyard in some form, because they both share that origin as a dark mirror of our heroic protagonist, coming from within as an internal threat rather than an external one like we're so used to. Both the Valeyard and the Dream Lord rely on psychological manipulation and constructing false realities and illusions to target the Doctor. They both call the Doctor's judgment and heroism into question, forcing he and the audience to consider the ethics of his travels and his adventures. The Dream Lord shares so many attributes with the Valeyard that it's hard not to see him as a chilling warning of what the Doctor will seemingly inevitably become, suggesting the Valeyard is already present within the Doctor's consciousness, just waiting to become him fully, like we're led to believe in Trial of a Time Lord. It almost makes you think that this mental construct later becomes a more permanent and even more dangerous physical form.
While this theory is fun, I personally don't see it. If we want to get technical, the Dream Lord is a construct of mostly the Doctor's dark side, but also he is taken from Amy and Rory's subconscious too. He knows their insecurities and uses them just as much as he does to the Doctor. I mean, the episode is called Amy's Choice for a reason. While the scenarios themselves are taken mostly from Amy and Rory, and the Dream Lord acts as a mouthpiece for the Doctor in particular's dark side, they are all a part of the same dream/vision/entity, which is different from how the valeyard is explained, which ironically would fit more under how bigeneration works. The valeyard is implied to split off from the Doctor between his 12th and final incarnation, which this would technically fall under thanks to that vague language loophole. And this one may be a deep cut, but ironically from all the way back in 2007, there was this image of David Tennant wearing a Gallifreyan outfit that spawned a million different valeyard theories, which isn't even talking about the Meta-Crisis Doctor. What's the deal with David Tennant and valeyard theories? Is the 14th Doctor the valeyard? No. If you guys couldn't tell, I feel like this is the issue I have with valeyard theories. There's so many of them, and none of them really work that well. Maybe this is just me, but I don't find it that satisfying. If you ever were to see it on screen, directly confirmed, maybe then it would be satisfying, but right now, I don't know. Also, fun fact for you guys, back in the 90s, back in the day, when people were on the forums to try and get gigs as V&A writers, you know, like Rusty Davies, Mark Gatiss, those type of guys, one of the main rules, I'm not kidding here, one of the main rules on what you could write and what you couldn't do was use the valeyard. You couldn't use him. So what does that say, man? What does that tell you about that?
But regardless of whether the Dream Lord is the valeyard or not, one question remains. Could he come back? With any great Doctor Who villain, it's hard to not ask that question. After all, you always want to see more of an incredible monster or villain, and the Dream Lord is no exception, being a particular highlight of Series 5. Psychological foes tend to offer a different kind of drama to the more physical threats, which makes the Dream Lord so unique, but it also makes it so much harder for him to come back. Because he is so specific. The Dream Lord was just a one-off concept in Amy's Choice, which itself is a self-contained story. But I absolutely think the groundwork is still there to bring him back in some form. There's so much narrative potential to still be explored, since the Doctor's darkest traits of guilt, arrogance and self-loathing never truly go away, at least not in the modern era. No matter the incarnation, these are always part of the character at their very core. So it absolutely leaves the door open for these traits to manifest again as the Dream Lord. And of course, with that potential link to the valeyard, there's even more of an opportunity to bring the character back and explore him more thoroughly. Merging the Dream Lord and the valeyard would be a pretty easy way to bridge eras and create something new. But what would these kinds of stories even look like? How would you do it? Thanks to Doctor Who's time travel, alternate dimensions, dreamscapes, and regular psychic freakiness, there are all sorts of excuses and ways to reintroduce a character like the Dream Lord, who has been shown to already reside within the Doctor's psyche. Obviously, it would be very cheap to reuse the psychic pollen plot point we've already seen, but that's not the only way to feature such a character concept. Any kind of alien artifact or psychic event could cause such an internal battle of the wills, maybe even amplifying the Dream Lord's abilities and power to up the ante and show him as even more of a threat. Say you're doing a MacGuffin season like The Key to Time. The Doctor and their companion find the object they're looking for. The Doctor touches it and then bam, psychic internal battle. Or maybe you do something like The Mind Robber, transporting the characters into a shared dreamscape that's different to Amy's Choice. An unfamiliar land where the Dream Lord's involvement is only slowly revealed, and he has complete control over the Dominion. Again, much like we saw in The Mind Robber. It could be a very surrealist episode, with all sorts of wild and imaginative visuals, taking a very different direction to Amy's Choice, whilst still keeping the consistency of the main character and his abilities. Of course, a tricky part of all this is whether they'd be able or willing to have Toby Jones return as the character, since his portrayal is a big reason it works so well. but I think due to the shifting nature of the Doctor themselves, a different actor taking the mantle of the Dream Lord would still make complete sense and allow for a slightly different interpretation that matches whoever the incumbent Doctor is, much like Jones matched Smith. I just think there are so many different ways you could bring back the Dream Lord, and I'm surprised Big Finish haven't already done it. After all, they've brought back things like the Dream Crabs. Oh, hang on a minute, maybe you could actually combine the two? Yep, I'm a genius. Move over, Russell. It's my job now. The Dream Lord is a fascinating, unsettling Doctor Who character. He's such an incredible glimpse into the inner darkness of the Doctor, who is usually so self-assured and heroic. In Amy's Choice, the Dream Lord uniquely blends outer conflict with inner conflict, mixing the physical and mental threats so effortlessly and in a way that really makes us think a lot about the Doctor once we work out that they're just two sides of the same coin. The mystery of the Dream Lord isn't one like the Midnight Entity, where we're left wondering just who or what he is. No, instead, it's about what he's truly capable of doing, or who he's capable of becoming. His mystery is whether he'll ever return, or even completely consume the Doctor from the inside, because the very ending of the episode maintains that he's still always there, watching, scheming, and waiting. As long as the Doctor exists, so does the Dream Lord in some sense. Because he's that manifestation of those traits we know the Doctor to still have deep down, no matter how hard they try to suppress it. And if something as simple as psychic pollen is capable of bringing this chilling villain to life, then what might happen if he's summoned by something stronger, or something more purposeful? That's the truly scariest and most mysterious part of the Dream Lord, in my opinion at least. I want to thank DWFan91 for both suggesting and taking part in this video. Make sure to go and check out his channel, he makes great videos, especially his Doctor Who's Biggest Unsolved Mysteries series. It's great stuff and I highly recommend it if you liked this video.
Thank you so much for having me, boss. This guy's the GOAT, man. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video. You guys know how it is.
Speaking of, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. And I'd just like to give a special thank you to my Asbantium level patron, Fowlon Cortez, my Platinum level patron, Matthew Burns, and all my Gold level patrons, Ben Salmon, Chris Douglas, Daniel Shillito, and Seb Falco. Thank you so much for your support.